Irish Open, main event day. One of the best days of the year. Out here to play day 1C. It's shaping up to be the biggest Irish Open day 1 in history. We're halfway through level 1. Late as usual. Got the typical Irish weather back. 50k starting stack, 45 minute level. Yo! Go on then, Mick fella! Big Mick G there in the background. Mick riding, one of the best players in the country. Crusher. No better feeling than this day every year. Just a different feeling, man, going to play this tournament. So exciting. Especially the day 1. Everyone's in there dreaming about getting the slice of what's looking like it's going to be a €4.5 million prize pool. Better get out of the way of this man. Welcome to the Irish Open main event.
Change my name to promise you, yeah. Dying inside cause I want to, yeah. Didn't I say I wanted to, yeah.
What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's the Irishman. We've made a return. Today we're going to be playing my favourite event. It's the Irish Open main event, day 1. Record breaking prize pools this year. Nearly 4,500 entries, nearly €4.5 million in the prize pool, and everyone's out here battling day 1 to get a slice of it. Don't recognise any players on our table except one. We have Big Mick G on our left. He's actually the guy you seen earlier in the video driving by in the car. An absolute OG of Irish poker. Gentleman, very good player. Gonna have position on us today, so hopefully we don't have to get into too many battles. We've paid our $11.50 buy-in. We've got our ticket. We've made our way to the table. Got the chips, and we're going to kick off now with the first hand. First hand I know here comes from the 100-300 level. We've got 60k in our stack, 200 bigs deep, and middle position raises to 600. We look down at Jack 10 suited in the cutoff. Very pretty hand here. Think we can raise or call. We're just going to call this time. Button comes along and the big blind comes along. So heading 4 ways to a flop here. There's 2.8k in the middle and it comes Jack 9-3 with 2 spades. We flop top pair here. Not a great kicker, but decent flop for our hand. Big blind checks and the original raiser fires out a continuation bet of 1.2k. Not going anywhere. We just have a slam dunk call here. If we raise, we just get called by a lot of better hands. We can certainly have the best hand here. We don't want to go bloating the pot with a weak top pair. We make the call. Button makes the call and the big blind gets out of the way. Heading 3 ways to the turn and it comes an offsuit 7. If we are behind, we do pick up more outs now. Any 8 gives us a straight. Middle position fires out another bullet of 4k. Pretty big bet here on the turn. He's shown a lot of strength, raising pre-flop, betting the flop into 4 players, firing a big bet into 2 players on the turn. Given that if we are behind, we did pick up more outs. We make the call and the button folds. Heads up to the river and it comes an offsuit 6. Pretty much a blank. 10-8 was already a straight. We do block it. Hoping to see a check here. Happy enough to just get this to showdown and hopefully win against a missed flush draw. Middle position has other ideas. He fires out an overbet of 15,000 into a pot of 14.4. Now we're in a spot here. I think in theory this hand is meant to call sometimes, given that we block the straight and given we don't hold a spade in our hand. But I think early in day 1s, he's shown a lot of strength here. Raising pre, betting flop, turning river with big bets. We're beat here by over pairs, sets, 2 pairs. He might not even be firing over pairs for over bets, so he's kind of trying to tell us the story here that he has a set or 2 pair at least. I decided to just make the disciplined laydown. I think we're just beat here too much. Bringing us to the next hand, we look down at Queen 10 of spades in the big blind. Big blind is still 300. The cutoff opens to 800 and I defend. Heading to a flop here and it comes 9-7-5 rainbow with 1 spade. We flop decent here. We have 2 overs. Backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. We check it over to the initial aggressor and he fires out a c-bet of 900. Think we can go 2 ways here. We can call or we can raise. I think people just auto c-bet flops way too much and way too wide. So I decide I'm going to take the aggressive route here. I check raise to 3.2k. There's a lot of good stuff that can happen to us. There's a lot of good turns for our hand here. We can turn flush draws, straight draws and continue to barrel. He decides to flick in a call and we're heading off to a turn. There's 8.4k in the middle and it brings Jack of clubs, bringing in the club flush draw. Pretty good card for us here. We now turn an open-ended straight draw. I think this is a card we're always going to continue to barrel. We now get there if we were check raising a hand like 10-8 on the flop. We're also going to have some 2 pairs and sets on the flop. So I think this is a must bluff card. We can put pressure on weak 1 pair hands. Maybe hands like ace high and king high that have backdoors that peel one on the flop. We're just going to get these hands to fold right away. We fire out another chunky bet of 6.5k. Cut off things for a minute and flicks in the call. Not good. We were hoping to see a fold here. We do still have ways to improve our hand on the river, but if we miss, this looks like one we're probably going to be bluffing. River comes to 4 diamonds. There's 21.4k in the middle. We've arrived here with queen high. We're not here to check and give up. We're going to continue to tell the story that we have a big hand. This could be a spot where we overbet jam all in, given that we have the 10 in our hand. I actually think this could be decent. We just bin him when he has overpairs, but in the end we decide to go for a sizing of 18k. He goes into the tank. The longer the tank goes on, we're just praying for the fold. If we get this one through, we pick up a very decent pot, but unfortunately he decides to flick in the call and shows jack 10 off. Think it's a decent hand for him to call down. He flops a good shot, turns a pair, and on the river, of all the jacks he can have, holding a 10 is pretty important because it reduces the likelihood that I have 10-8, which is one of the main value hands that I would check raise the flop with as a bluff and then just turn the nuts straight and blast off. Against other players, I'd be confident of getting them off top pair. This fella seemed like a competent enough player, so I like his call with his exact combo. I think we'd get a hand like king jack to fold, ace jack to fold. Unfortunately, we run into the hand that has the blocker, makes his decision a lot easier. Never nice to bluff off a big chunkier stack early, but with a deep structure, we still have plenty of chips. We're hoping we're going to grind this one up. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the play. I like going for it. I like being aggressive. We have a bunch of strong hands, so we can't just only ever be betting for value. I think we want to be also able to have bluffs. It makes us tough to play against. Plan is to grind it back. Let's see how we get on. Blinds are now 300, 600, and we've only 22 big blinds. We're getting close to double up territory. We need to make something happen soon. Folds all the way around to the button. He's been quite an active player, playing a lot of hands. Got to see some showdowns he was having, and he's in the mix there with some questionable hands. He raises the button and we look down at 8-9 suited in the small blind. With 22 bigs here, this is going to be an all-in. Most hands we play here, we're going to be playing for an all-in. Going to be shoving all pairs, all suited aces, a bunch of broadways. I think 8-9 suited falls into a hand that we want to jam. Couple of reasons. When he opens the button, it's the position he's going to be raising most hands from. So he's just going to have a lot of auto folds, and we get to pick up a raise, plus the big blind and ante without having to see a flop, which is pretty nice when you have a 22 big blind stack. We get to fold out hands that have us beat, hands like jack 10, queen jack. We also fold out some hands that have us dominated. If he had a hand like queen 8 suited, queen 9 suited, all these hands should fold. So getting hands to fold that have you dominated is a nice outcome. And then also if we do get called, if he calls with ace king, ace queen, hands like this, we have a lot of equity. We're going to be 40% against those hands. We're happy enough to run it for that. We stick in our 22 big blind stack and get snap called. Fuck, that's never good news. He turns over his hand and all he has is pocket aces. We're in a lot of trouble here. We're going to be needing help. So let's see a flop. And what a flop we just hit. We flop an open-ended straight flush draw. We've went from nearly being dead and buried to being essentially a flip in this hand. 50-50. This is the best we could have asked for when you get snap called by aces. Dealer, one time please. Turn comes to 7 of diamonds. It's no help. We need a spade or to hit our straight, and the river comes a spade. Get in. That's what you love to see. Get it all in against aces and just dog the bollocks out of them. Always a nice feeling to crack aces. We're not going to be complaining here. We were about to be sent to the showers, back to the reg desk for another 11.50 buy-in, but instead we've got to double up. We're back up to over 45 big blinds, a well playable stack, and we're back in the game. Blinds are now 400, 800. We have a stack of 28k on the button. The guy whose aces we just crack raises in the cut-off to 1.8k. We look down at a6 of clubs on the button here. Can 3-bet this sometimes, but we're going to elect to just call. I think he's playing a lot of hands. I think he's playing too wide, and we want to keep some of the worst hands in. We flat the button, and the blinds get out of the way. Going heads up to the flop here, and there's 5.6k in the middle, and it comes ace 10 9 rainbow with 1 club. So we've top pair, weak kicker, and a backdoor flush draw. He checks it on over to us, and I decide to check it back. Can bet this, but I don't think this is a hand we're going to get 3 streets of value, so it's nice to have some ace-x in our range when we check back. We don't want to just always be betting our top pairs. Turn comes to 7 of spades. He checks it again, and now we're going to start trying to go for some value. We can get called by a 10, a 9, some pocket pairs. Don't think we want to size it too big here. We're looking to get value. We make a bet of 2.5k, and the cutoff makes the call. Going to a river here, and it comes a 5. Shouldn't change anything. He checks it on over to us again. We're going to comfortably bet for value here, hoping to get called by one of the hands we just mentioned. We fire out a bet of 6.5k. The cutoff doesn't take that long before flicking in the call. We turn over our hand and it's good, and we get to scoop another pot. We're well back on track to grinding up a stack. The next hand comes from the big blind 1k level. We look down at ace queen off under the gun 1. We raise it on up to 2.2k, and only the big blind calls. Heading heads up to the flop here, and it comes down ace 7 3 rainbow. This is a board we're just going to be betting 100% of our range here for a small sizing. We make a bet of 1.8k, and the big blind makes the call. Turn now comes to 9 of spades. It does bring in the flush draw. Checks it on over to us again, and I see no reason why we shouldn't continue going for value. There's a lot of worse hands that can call. We fire out a bet of 5.5k. Big blind makes the call again, and we're off to a river. River comes to king of spades. The backdoor flush does now get there. He checks it on over to us one more time. Still see no reason why we shouldn't continue going for value. There's still a lot of worse ace-x that we can get called by here, so we're going to fire out a bet. And if we get check raise here, we're just going to fold this one. People usually don't check call, and then check raise bluff the river. It's a very strong play. Don't think many people find too many bluffs with it. Obviously, it's pretty ugly if we do end up getting check raise, but I still think, given that there's plenty we can get value from here, we're going to fire out a bet. We bet 13.5k, and the big blind folds. So unfortunate that we didn't get the extra bit of value on the river, but still we scoop another decent pot. Our stack is back round, and we're happy out with the comeback so far. It's a couple of levels later now. Big blind is 2.5k, and we've grinded up our stack to 90,000. Just shy of 40 bigs here, happy with the comeback. We look down at king queen off in middle position. Gonna raise this one up here, and we make it 5k to go. Hijack, he's an older guy, has us covered, makes the call, and the big blind makes the call, making a 3-way pot. Head to the flop here, and it comes a pretty nice one. Queen a2 with 2 hearts. So we flop top pair and one of the best kickers. There's 18.5k in the middle, and when it's checked to us, I think we're going to continue with a small bet with a lot of our range here. We fire out a bet of 6.5k. Only the hijack makes the call, and we're off heads up to a turn. Turn comes in offsuit 6. Pretty nice card for our hand. Doesn't change anything on the board. Now we have a choice here. Do we want to bet? Do we want to check? Think both are fine. I think we want to be doing a mix of both. I decide to employ a bit of pot control here. This guy had been pretty tight all day, so I think it's going to be fine to pot control here. We get some more information about his hand, see what he wants to do. He fires out a very small bet of 7k into 31.5, less than a quarter pot. I just don't think he ever has any really strong hands when he does this. I think a hand that would have us beat probably raises the flop. This player type will usually play their hands like that. When they see the flush draw out there, if they have a good top pair, if they have a set, it's always going to be raised, and I don't think he'd ever fire the turn so small with a hand like a set. Very confident now that we have the best hand, and we want to go for value when we have the best hand, so we're not going to let him away with just a 7k bet to see the river. We're going to bump this one up. We make it 21,000, and he makes the call. Hoping for a clean river here, and it comes as clean can get. Comes to 2 of diamonds. There's 73k in the middle. And now we have another decision. If he did have a missed flush draw, his only way to win the hand would probably be if we check and he bluffs. He also can have a weaker queen, which we'd want to get value from. So I think this is a spot where it's going to be very player dependent. This player, don't see ever bluffing enough. He might even check back some missed flush draws, where if you have an aggressive player who you think will fire, I think a check is definitely always warranted. But given that I think this guy might check back missed flush draws, he'll also check back some of his weakest queens. I think we want to keep the foot on the gas here and continue to go for value. Don't want to make it too big. We want to get some crying calls from a queen jack, queen 10 type hand. We fire out a bet of 28k, but unfortunately he folds. Still, happy with how we played this hand. We got some extra value on the turn with the check raise, adding to our stack very nicely. We look down at the Black Mamacitas. Very nice hand to pick up here. We're going to come in for a raise. We make a 5k to go. Friend of the vlog, Mick, in the seat to our left, 3 bets us up to 15k. He's only playing about 22, 23 big blinds, so when it falls back around to us, we have only one move. We're all in. We stick it all in and get snap called. We turn the hands over and we're up against the ones. pocket aces. Unfortunate here, we've the third best hand in poker and run into the best hand. Gonna be needing some help here from the dealer. And there it is. Queen in the window, baby. You fucking love to see it. Just need to hold here for the turn and river. Turn comes clean, river comes clean, and we add another 23 big blinds to our stack. Obviously unfortunate to bust a mate hitting a 2-outer against them, but you can never complain when you're getting it all in against aces twice in one session and getting there. Maybe our luck is just in. We didn't really have any spots against each other today, and obviously we just run hot in the biggest one we've had versus Mick. So good game, Mick. Always nice playing with you. I'm sure I'll see you soon on the felt and you'll be coming back for blood. Bag secured. 166k going through to day 2. Mad day. It's down to 10k at one stage. Peaked at I think 205. Had a sick hand, well not sick, but we coolered the big Mick G. Absolute OG gentleman of Irish poker. You actually seen him at the start of the vlog shouting out of the car. Queens into aces and we just drilled the queen on the flop. So always nice to get the bag through to day 2. High morale. Back tomorrow for day 2. High morale.
High morale, boy. What's back?
166.
Yes, go.
Main event, day 2. Shout out to Aidan Hines, team of the day. High morale. No fucking moan. No bad beats. Do you know what I mean? We're just playing cards. Welcome to day 2 of the Irish Open. Over 4,500 players began, and moving on to day 2, there's 1,393 players remaining. 671 get paid with a min cash of 1650 and a top prize of 600k. We've a stack of 166k going back to big blind 4k. Over 40 big blinds, hoping to put a run together today as we approach the money bubble, so let's get into it. Kicking off the first hand of the day, big blind is now 5,000. We look down at a6 at diamonds in early position. We're going to raise this on up. We make a 10k to go. Folds around to a short stack in the big blind. She's only got about 10 bigs in her stack. She makes the call and we see a flop of queen 6-2 with 2 spades. Checks on over to us. Think we're going to see bet here. It's going to be continuing with a lot of hands here. We don't let the big blind see a free card. We can very much have the best hand. We fire out a very small bet of 7,000. Big blind thinks for a couple of seconds and decides to put the rest of our stack in. 8 big blinds, 40k. We're not going anywhere here. Yeah, we're behind to a queen, but the big blind can have a bunch of flush draws here, so I don't think we're ever going to fold this to a small jam. Obviously hoping we're not up against a queen. And to our surprise, she turns over pocket 7s. Would have never put the big blind on 7s here. I think that's a hand that we'd expect to just go all in pre-flop for 10 bigs. So we're going to be needing some help here. Unfortunately, help does not arrive on the turn and river, and we give the big blind the double up. Taking a hit to our stack there, that's about a third of our stack. Not what you want to see early into this day 2. We're down to about 23, 24 bigs now before we look down at king queen of spades under the gun. We make a 10k to go. Folds around to the button. He's a new player to the table, so we know absolutely zero about this player. He decides to 3-bet to 25k. Folds back to us, and I think call is probably the best move here. If it was a different setup, if we opened the cutoff on the button 3-bet, I think I'd always 4-bet jam this hand. Seems like a fine hand to go all in with. Has decent blockers, decent equity when called, so but when it's under the gun versus button, I think never want to fold. We probably just want to always call a hand as strong as king queen of spades. We make the call and we go heads up to a flop of queen 7-3 rainbow. Pretty decent flop for our hand here. We can still be behind some of his 3-bets, but he's also going to have stuff that we now beat. We check it on over and he fires out a bet of 25k. Nothing we can do here but just stick in the call. We make the call and we see a 6 on the turn. Check it on over to him again and he bets 30k into 112.5. Still think there's no merit in raising getting this in here. We're just only getting called by better. If he does have a bluff, we want him to keep bluffing. We never want to fold out a hand like ace king that might just blast off and give us all the chips. We stick in the call and this pot has now swelled. There's 172.5k in the middle. We've only about 45k behind. River comes in 9. We check it on over to him. And if he puts us all in here, we're just never folding a hand this strong. This might be where the tournament comes to an end, or we get a double up. He thinks for a couple of minutes and eventually checks back. This is very good for us. Once he checks back here, we expect to see him give up with a bluff, or he's going to just have a worse hand maybe. When we see the check back, we're very happy. We're expecting to be raking in this pot, but unfortunately, and also fortunately, he turns over ace queen and somehow checked it back on the river. Makes no sense to me here. His hand is just the most standard triple off there. Works out in our favour. We're still in this tournament when we shouldn't have been, albeit short stacked, but I'm still baffled. I don't know how we check back that river. That's just a crazy check back. We're happy. We should be sent to the showers, but instead we're left with a 10 big blind stack. Gonna be all in soon, but we can certainly double this up. We seen yesterday we came back from a 10k stack earlier in the day and spun it back up, so gonna need a bit of luck here. Gonna need to run this back up. The very next hand, we're in the big blind here and we look down at the Jimbos. With less than 10 bigs here, we're happy out to see this hand. Our friend who checked back ace queen opens to 20k from the cutoff. Not your typical raise. Small blind decides he wants to go all in for about 20 big blinds. Not much we can do here. This is as good as we can hope for. Pocket jacks facing a raise and a shove. There's a lot of worse hands a small blind can have. We just have way too good of a hand here to ever think about doing anything. We're pretty happy to get the stack in here. We're going to have a chance at least a double up. We jam all in and the cutoff decides to also call both all-ins. So we're on for a three-way all-in, a triple up, and we'd be right back to where we started before the king-queen hand. Let's see what the others have. And not again. One player shows aces and the other player shows kings. We have the worst of it. We're going to need to crack aces and kings. We cracked aces twice yesterday. Now can we crack aces and kings in the same hand? Let's find out. Flop comes down and it comes king high. We're going to need to make a running straight or quads. We turned a jack on the turn. Gives us some hope. We've got one out. Can we hit it? And the river comes a blank. GG's. Unfortunately, that's us gone. Don't think we can do too much there. But just like that, all the dreams have come crashing down and we've busted. Just one of those days. We rode our luck yesterday, cracking aces twice, and today, unfortunately, the luck wasn't in our favour. So that's GG's in the main event. Couldn't really get out and going today for a 7.5. Pretty card dead. Then played a hand. We should have been out the hand, probably busted. We opened king, queen, of spades off 24 bigs. Get 3-bet small by the button. We flat, comes queen high. We check off flop. Clean turn, check call. River goes check on the cleanest runner ever. Button checks back ace queen. So we're left with 10 bigs. We could have got the money in, but we just got called by better. So, and then the very next hand, we're in the big blind with 10 bigs. Same guy with the ace queen hand opens. Small blind jams. Obviously we get pocket jacks in the big, nothing we can do here but put the money in. And it's a three-way all in. Jacks versus kings versus aces. We actually hit a jack, but no good. Kings hit a king. Plan is now jump into JP Masters and hope to get a run going on that. Best of luck to everyone still in the main event. And before we end the video, I want to say thanks to everyone who tuned in. If you're an old subscriber, thanks for still hanging around. If you're new, welcome to the channel. We're back, we're making vlogs. We're going to aim to try put out 3 vlogs a month. We're going to show all the cash games around Ireland, tournaments. We'll start to travel to Europe and shoot some vlogs. So keep it locked here. Subscribe if you haven't. And before we leave, I want to leave off on the final hand of the Irish Open. Finally, the trophy has returned to Irish soil. Well done to Simon Wilson, taking home the Irish Open trophy and 600 bags. Only 22 years old, an absolute phenom of a player in the country. Keep an eye out, you're going to see him winning a lot more stuff. And shout out to the rail, all the Irish on the rail. It was probably the best rail we've ever seen. And just look at these scenes. I'll let the video speak for itself. I'll see you next time. Peace.
6 outs for Roberto Ruggieri.
Roberto Ruggieri needs an ace or 10, or Simon Wilson will be the Irish Open 2025 champion.
Is a deuce. We are walking in a Wilson wonderland. He is the 2025 Irish Open champion.